Hey everyone, it's your host, Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And today we have an incredible guest coming to you live on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And we are going to be talking about one of our favorite topics, my favorite topic, money. Money management skills, business skills, and this man does everything in between and both. And he's here to share his expertise on how to make it more profitable and permanently profitable for your business, for yourselves, and how to ensure that paying yourself is not some obtuse thing and that you're scared about doing it. I have the incredible honor of welcoming this gentleman to the podcast stage. Help me welcome, without further ado, Mr. Craig Dacy. Welcome
Hey,
to the
Marcus.
podcast show, sir.
Thank you for having me. I'm pumped to be here.
Absolutely. We're pumped to have you, sir. This is not a new topic. Business is not new to most people, especially after COVID, right? COVID was a disastrous thing, but I think it revealed to a lot of people that, hey, you need to be doing something else. You need to have something on the side. And for you, you are a business coach, a personal development coach, and money management expert. And so in this industry, how did you find yourself jumping into this industry and helping the many people that you have in this space? What got you started?
Man, I was a teacher. That's my background. I was an educator. I taught fourth grade for a while, and I started going on this own journey of my own for personal finances. We were budgeting, getting out of debt. And as I was getting burnt out in the education world, I realized I loved teaching people about money. And I was like, okay, well, how can I take this passion for teaching and use it in a way to serve other people and teach adults how to manage their personal finances? And so that's what we did. We started with the personal finance side, and I launched that in 2016, grew it. And then I fell in love with the running a business piece. And we were running into entrepreneurs and business owners whose personal lives were struggling because their business finances were struggling. And so around 2018, we started really serving business owners as well. And so now here we are today. We're serving both sides. We're serving business owners. We're serving individuals on personal, and just helping you make a positive change and feel more comfortable around their finances.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. The hero here today. That is absolutely good. And it speaks to something that's profound. I think most people need to hear that you, me, all of us, these experts, you're expert, a professional, but you're also human, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody thinks, oh, he's a overnight success. No, right? He had to grow, he had to learn, and he made mistakes. He's fallible, just like the rest of us. And so can you speak to some of the things with your clients when it comes to uncovering those financial mistakes? Can you share one big financial mistake that you was making to humanize you, and then also share how you overcome it and what you see clients really struggling with as well?
Man, I still struggle with it, and that's why we teach it, and that's why I teach it. It's like going to a therapist, and I have a therapist, and if I'm going there because I'm struggling with depression, I want my therapist to be probably struggling with that same battle, so that they know what I'm going through. They know the trials and tribulations that we're going through. So to this day, I still struggle with a lot of the things that my clients do, and that's the behavior of money. And money is emotional. People say it's just business, it's not personal, but business is personal. It's our personal finances. It's our life and blood. We put everything on the line to run this business and launch it, and it's affecting everything in our world. And so the decisions we make are emotional. Pride can come in. Anything, whether it may be greed or even just self-doubt or self-confidence, all those things can affect our finances. And I am constantly battling that. The times where I'm feeling too good about money, I'm going to go out and spend a little more. And the times where I'm stressed about money, I'm probably going to pinch pennies and try and cut everything I possibly can. And so having a system is the key to overcoming all of that. Having a system that works for you, works for your business, that's easy to maintain, because we've learned that most business owners are amazing at their craft, but maybe no one taught them how to run the business. They make an amazing cake, but whoever taught them how to run a bakery? And so having a system is what I lean on heavily, and that's how I make huge positive moves in my business, and that's in turn what we teach our clients.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair, right? Because what people don't realize is I systematize a lot of things. People say, "How are you able to do this? How are you able to juggle so many different things?" Right? Some people are family men, family women. They're running businesses and they're still working a 9 to 5. Then they're dealing with the car is broken down, the house needs a new fresh coat of paint, or the gutter just fell off. And so all those things add up and it can encumber one thing and it can mess up some other area that you now have to focus on. But one thing is certain, money is involved in one way or one facet of it. And so developing a system around how you manage money, how you handle money, is oftentimes people look at money like, and I hate this. They look at a car and they're going to buy a car and they say, I want that car. I want the sunroof. I want the Sirius XM radio. I want the bells and whistles in that car. And they go through the financing hoopla and then they get the car and realize they have that buyer's remorse because they think I can afford this car because I can afford the monthly payments and not
Right.
consider all the other financial aspects of that car that they didn't take into consideration. So that is a huge financial mistake that people make when it comes to money management. So having a
Mm.
system is paramount. Systems in place to help you decide that. Do you use spreadsheets at all? Any spreadsheets, Excel? Are you a or do you use any apps to help you manage your money?
Yeah, we with our clients we use a lot of spreadsheets in Excel just so we can customize it as best as we can. We do have clients who use budgeting softwares like Every Dollar or YNAB. You need a budget for their personal finances, but really we're living in spreadsheets. And then the main bread and butter of what our system revolves around is bank accounts. Is having multiple bank accounts for each facet of your business, and then same thing in the personal life. There's a book out there. I'm not sure if you've read it or heard of it. It's called Profit First. We've
Yes,
partnered with that author, and that's what we teach our clients. And it's leveraging behavior. So instead of trying to read cash flow statements and P&Ls and balance sheets, while those are important, they have their place. We are, as business owners, aren't using those in the day to day. So we are big on using bank accounts, having a bank account for your operating expenses, having a bank account for your taxes, having one for your salary as the owner, making sure that you're covered, you're paid always, and having a bank account for profit so that it's not on the bottom. It's not the bottom line anymore. It's a priority. We're setting aside money intentionally for profitability.
absolutely. So multiple bank accounts, multiple systems, multiple. That's a lot. Do you recommend having multiple bank accounts in the same bank or different banks?
Yeah.
What do you teach to in that? Can you share that?
Yep. We're same bank is what we usually aim for. And I recommend places that have free checking accounts. So credit unions, there's an online bank that a lot of our clients use called Relay Financial that's got free business checking accounts. But that's one bank. So that way, when you open your phone, which is what we as business owners are doing when we need to make a money decision, we open our phone, we look at our bank account balance to see, can I afford to do this? Can I not? What this is doing is it's taking that chunk of cash that we would have if we had $10,000 in the bank. Now it's broken up. So we can say, oh, I've got this much in operating expenses. I've got this much in owner's pay. I've got this much in taxes. So you get a real clear picture of where you stand financially.
That's huge, 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 huge. And I want to give some insight to one, be respectful of our audio listeners, but also two, if you have not read the book Profit First, I wanted to give a brief description of what you can expect. The book Profit First is by Mike Michalowicz. The book flips the traditional accounting formula on its head by advocating for a new approach, which is sales minus profit equal expenses. And that sounds weird, and I know that sounds weird, but the book dives in deeper and provides a practical step-by-step advice on how to implement the profit first system, including setting up multiple bank accounts and enforcing a rhythm for managing finances. And so if for those who are uninitiated, that's what
Yes.
you can expect with the profit first model, and that's what he teaches. You also touched on, you have clients that have the Every Dollar app, the Dave Ramsey app. How do you feel about those apps? Are you for the Dave Ramsey extreme pay it off now or die? Like, how do you feel about those apps and those applications?
You got it. So that's been a journey for me because I mean, when we budgeted and got out of debt, we used that Dave Ramsey model, my wife and I. And so, but at the time, we were just a young married couple, and it worked for us. And when I started coaching, I was one of the Ramsey preferred coaches that was out there. But over time, I just started to decide and learn as I met people that personal finances is personal, and our philosophy is that my money philosophy is going to be different than yours, and is going to be different than somebody else's. Meaning that sacrifice everything, pedal to the metal. What I think he says, rice and beans, right?
Yep.
Works for some, but not everybody. What's that balance that what's that balance that you want to strike? If you have young kids, maybe you're like, this is a time of life that I don't want to miss out on. So we're going to sacrifice getting out of debt faster, maybe prolong it a little bit longer, but also balance in some activities and memories makings with our kids. So how can we help you create a game plan? We've come across a lot of people who tried the cut it all and run method, don't spend a dime anywhere, and they burnt out and they didn't get anywhere with it. So just summarizing it works for a lot of people, but for a lot of people it doesn't. And I find that those people are kind of wandering lost in what should I be doing? What's my approach? What's my philosophies?
That's so real. That's so real. It can be intense, y'all. It can be extreme. It can be intense. And even to some people, they realize and they feel like I gotta get on a budget. Ew, yucky. I can only spend $100 a week on entertainment when my budget previously, or there was no budget, but my expenditure amount, what I was spending was in the couple hundreds of dollars on entertainment, movies, eating out. And so people have a really negative stigma around the word budget. And so what I'm hearing, Mr. Dacy, is find what works for you, and you help your clients find what works for them and their household. Am I correct?
100%. Yep. It's a spending plan. It's permission to spend. So finding what is that balance? We want to be realistic with ourselves and our money. So if we say, I'm not going to eat out this month, but you're used to eating out 3 times a week, going out to restaurants, maybe that's not a realistic long-term solution. So it's, what is the amount that I want to spend on restaurants? And the beauty of it is you don't get that guilty feeling anymore when you do spend it. If you have an Amazon budget, you don't feel bad when you late at night are browsing and you order something because you have allocated money specifically for that. All your bills are taken care of, your savings, your debt payments, everything's taken care of. And I have $200 over here that I can spend on Amazon. So the guilt doesn't sink in anymore. It's like, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I planned this. We always say it boils down to being proactive instead of reactive. Our natural tendency with money is to just react. How much do I have? I'm going to spend tomorrow. There's a bill due. Whoops, I don't have enough anymore. Being proactive is, here's what's going to happen this month. Here's what I plan on doing with my money, and how much is going to go towards one thing, how much is going to go towards another, and then following through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gentleman style mascot. How do you feel about being reactive instead of proactive? Um, so he does not like being reactive. So you're right. A win, 2 points for Mr. Dacy.
Yeah.
Super dope. Staying in the same breath, I want to stay here for a quick second because you touched on paying off debt. What are the best strategies that you have seen and teach to for paying off debt quickly? One of the things that I remember a professional reaching out to me without very much background in himself shared with me doing the HELOC thing. I don't know if you've heard about the HELOC, where you get a line of credit on your home and you take big chunks of that HELOC and you use it to pay down, in this case, your mortgage. And then, but the catch-all is your income has to exceed what you're what you're putting out, right? So really quickly, and please don't try this at home. I want to put that disclaimer out there. Do not try this at home. But let's say you have a total. You do the budget. You get with Mr. Dacy, and you do the budget, and you find that you have $3,000 a month in expenses. And so the HELOC method is, but your income is $6,000 or $5,000. And so your expenses are 3,000, your income is 5,000. So what you do is you take your HELOC, your line of credit, and you use it to pay down your mortgage because your income, and you have your direct deposited directly at going to your paying off your HELOC balance. So again, you're taking 5,000 and you're paying off the HELOC, but you're taking 3,000 or 4,000 to pay all your expenses and live off of like you normally do. But it only works again if your income exceeds your expenses. It doesn't work if you're broke. So please don't try this plan. But I'm sorry, I digress. What strategies do you teach to paying off debt really fast?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and going back to Dave Ramsey, he's a big fan of the debt snowball, and I would say 90% of the time that is the strategy that we see our clients using, and that has the most success. And so, for those who are not familiar with the debt snowball, it's just listing your debts in order from smallest balance to largest balance, and paying them off in that order, regardless of interest rate, regardless of payments, and just doing that. It gives you small victories. And then when you pay off a debt, you take the minimum payment on that one and you dump it down on the next one and the next one and the next one. So the further you get down the list, the larger amount of money you're paying on those debts, and you start to get some momentum and some drive. So behaviorally, most of the time, that's what we see is the most successful. Now, this all kind of bounces back to what I was talking about earlier, that it really depends on the client and what they're trying to achieve. And then I'll give you an example. If we had a client once who they lost a child, and so they had all these medical expenses sitting there from, the treatments for this child who ended up passing. And every time they looked, or every time they received a bill in the mail for this debt, it just was a gut punch to them. And so regardless of that balance, to them, they're like, I want this thing gone so I can stop being reminded of this negative experience financially. And so that was the priority over any credit card, no matter the balance, the interest rate. It was like, we're going to focus our attention on clearing this thing out before we even tackle anything else. And so it really depends on the person. But again, 9 times out of 10, the debt snowball is going to be our best method.
I love that. And that's huge. The debt snowball is a really good thing, because Dave Ramsey, especially the way he does it, is you pay off the smallest first, so you get that instant gratification a lot sooner versus trying to go for the audacious goal, the big goal of paying something big, and it takes time, and you lose momentum, and you lose smoke, you lose speed. Mr. Dacy, y'all, sharing the tea here on Gentleman Style Podcast Show. This is absolutely necessary. I want to pivot now. I want to pivot to the business, right? We are in a tax year. We just had an election. We got a new president in office. What advice? I want to steal some stuff here. This is how we can steal his homework, y'all. I sneak him onto the show, and then we pressure him and box him in a corner and ask questions. But I want to switch to the business side. What are the biggest mistakes you see business owners make when it comes to paying themselves? I often hear, and I know you hear it all the time, where business owners are like, yeah, I pay all my expenses, and then whatever's left, I take a little bit. But I haven't paid myself in years, or I still have to work this job. And what are the mistakes that you're seeing when it comes to entrepreneurship and businesses not paying themselves, and why are they not paying themselves?
Yeah, and you're right. I think business owners, they're leaving their 9 to 5 because they want more time and more money, right? And then they start this business, they start their own thing, and then they find I'm working more hours and making way less money than I was making before. What gives? And you're right. It's because they're not making themselves a priority. We have to prioritize ourselves in the business. We are the most valuable employee in our company, and we should be treated that way. And so I think the number one thing I see that we really focus on helping people get out of the habit of is dipping their hand into the business whenever they need money. And so if the personal side, the funds are getting low, or a bill is due, or they want to go do something, they pull money out of the business, or they charge it to their business credit card, or whatever it is. And we want to move away from that. And the analogy I use is, if you were to go interview to be the CEO of somebody else's company, and they said, Craig, you're amazing. You're hired. And you're like, perfect, great. What's the salary? What are you going to pay me? And they tell you, there's no salary, no paycheck. It's just whenever you need money, just let us know. If you got a bill due, if mortgage is due, we'll send you the funds to pay that bill. Don't worry. And like, you wouldn't do that, right? You would, no way you would accept that. And the inverse is true too. If I were to go out and hire a person to be my CEO, and I'm telling them, here's your salary, and they go, I'm just going to dip my hand into the business account anytime I need money. Like, no. So why don't we treat ourselves with that same level of respect that we would demand from someone else? And that is key. We have to separate ourselves. We have to view ourselves as the CEO, treat ourselves that way, separate the personal side out of it. And I'm going to pay Marcus what he deserves to be paid as the owner of this business. And I'm not going to skip his paycheck. I'm not going to give him less one week because funds were down. I'm going to treat him with that respect that I would demand from someone else if I went to work for them.
So that's huge and that's significant. And I'm glad you brought it up. Right. And so is it ever a good idea in business for a business owner to take a pay cut to help their business grow? You don't do you ever encourage that? Is there ever a scenario where you would say, yeah, I'm gonna short myself um in the short term to get to win big so I can invest in maybe marketing and sales, get some Google going, get some Google ad spend going, get push more business to drive the business up, and then I'll pay myself, maybe back later or give myself an IOU. Do you ever recommend that to your clients?
Yeah. So the key here would be being proactive. So what's the game plan? Not just cutting our pay on a whim because the account was low and we're stressed out. We might have to do that in the early stages of the system as you realize, oh, what's going on? And we need to address it. But to strategically do it, there's two things we want to make sure of. One, that the personal side can survive, that if I drop my paycheck by $1,000 this month, I'm not going to be hurting our personal funds on this side of life. And then number two is that you have a game plan for it. Just like you were talking about, I want to invest in this program or I want to invest in ads because we are trying to scale and grow. I've cut my pay back strategically before as we were hiring. I wanted to hire some more team members, and it's expensive when you bring people in until they start to get their own client base. And so I was like, I'm going to cut my payback a little bit temporarily, and we're going to slowly ramp it back to what it was over the coming months. Now, the IOU piece, I probably wouldn't stress too much about paying yourself back. And that kind of boils down to, can I afford to take a pay hit temporarily with the hope that down the road, I'm going to be able to pay myself more than what I was making before, because we're using this to grow and scale the business. And then last piece on this, I would try not to get in the habit of doing it because it's easy to invest it and then you're like, oh, great. Well, I'm not going to raise my payback to what it was yet because I want to invest it again. I want to invest it again. And then next thing you know, you got $1 million business and you're making $30,000 a year, and which is not unheard of. So we want to be careful of that.
Absolutely. For all you Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, I forget who it was, the billionaire, zillionaire, who only pays himself $1 a year. I think it's Mark Zuckerberg, but that was insane for me to hear. I get it. There's tax strategy. There's a mindset. There's big dollars and cents behind this, right? And for him, it makes sense to do that with his advice of his tax professionals. How do I or the average person determine what is a reasonable salary for myself as a business owner?
Yeah, it's tricky. And so, if you're an S corp, you have to pay yourself what they would call a reasonable salary here in the US. And so that's running money through payroll. I always say, talk to your CPA for sure, your tax professional, because they're going to help you pinpoint what that number is. And so otherwise, if you're a sole proprietor or an LLC, it's a little bit different because it's just taxed differently. You're not having to run things through payroll, but that's what I say. It's no hard cut answer other than just really talk to somebody who knows your tax situation really well, and they can advise you on what you should be funneling through payroll versus what you can take out as a distribution.
For sure. Craig, Dacy, the man, the myth, the legend. You guys, this is an incredible conversation, incredible interview. We have to pay some bills. Speaking of business pay, we got to pay our sponsors. So we are going to go to a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Support for Gentleman Style Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers you precision engineering tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off free worldwide shipping with the code GENTSTYLE at manscaped.com.
Hey guys, this is your boy Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And we are here in Patrick Henry Mall, Newport News, Virginia. We're actually here for something unique just inside. Something new, brand new that we want to explore together. You guys ready? All right, here we go. Hey, boss. Heard you are an athlete, man. See you at the mall every day. We are at Patrick Henry Mall, living up, and we are talking about CBD. But first off, the normal thing that we all deal with is joint pain, back pain, suffer from everything.
Neck pain too.
Neck pain? You got some neck pain?
All the time, man. I'm getting up in age, you know what I'm saying? We're not young no more.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. Bruh, CBD helps with that exact same thing. Neck pain, back pain, joint pain, all the pains, everywhere pain, right? And so that's what CBD does. That's what we're here to help you and me do. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
All right.
CBD is one of the most powerful cannabinoids because all it's focused on is the health and wellness. We're talking helping people with anxiety, depression, insomnia, sleep deprivation, all provided. CBD works with the natural mechanics of your body without the crazy side effects of Western medicine. So these products are here to actually align your body and get it back right so we can actually have a better quality of life. And that's what CBD does. Hey everyone, this is your host, Gentleman Style Podcast, Marcus, and I have the incredible, super fragile Elizabeth Espialidocious, Mr. Craig Dacy, the man, the myth, the legend, here on the Gentleman Style Podcast show. We are talking business and personal finances and how the two work together and why you need to book a consultation with this man ASAP, pronto. My Spanish is horrible, but right away, fast, very, very fast. And so get on board with this man. He is laying the tea. We just talked about what is the best strategies for paying off debt quickly. What are some of the processes and mindsets, right? Because money is a mindset. Two M's. Money is a mindset shift. And before anything can happen, you got to get this right, or else you'll give up way too soon. And we discussed all of that earlier in the episode. If you missed that, scroll back, go back and check him out. It is absolutely necessary. You can find this show on Apple iTunes, Spotify, Ghana Radio, iHeartRadio, Audible, Facebook business page, anywhere you get your podcast today. And so we are here. Mr. Dacy, is there any correlation? I want to ask, is there any correlation of where, and I've seen this, I've met friends who have really good business accounts, and they got team members and they got staff members, and their personal finances is jacked up. Is there any business personal finances? Are they connected in any way? Why should people be working on both and not just focusing on one and forget the other?
Yeah, that's so like you're exactly right. When the business finances are suffering or struggling, the personal finances suffer. And when we're struggling on the personal side, the business usually suffers. They're very related. I mean, and again, it's if we are stressed and anxious financially on the personal side, we're more likely to be pulling money out of the business. We're more likely to carry that stress and anxiety into the business, which can affect our business decisions, and vice versa. If we are running a business, and a lot of times, Marcus, you probably know this, businesses will, on paper, we're looking on the outside like, man, they are doing great. They're killing it. They're growing. They're making, millions a year. But if you were to really get down into the weeds of it, maybe the top line revenue is really, really high, but the profitability is struggling, and they're suffering, and they're rolling down in debt. We've worked with many businesses who are making a lot of money and not profitable, and the business owner is not taking home a lot. And so that's why it's so important to have both sides organized. Again, we usually will help people set up their business system first. We'll get that moving so that way we can make sure it is set up to pay them well, but we got to make sure the personal side is taken care of too. Otherwise, you're going to be draining that business account, or you're going to be demanding more from the business to pay you, and that's going to stunt its growth because we're not going to be able to reallocate funds towards growing and scaling the business and your team.
Absolutely. So do you recommend the same thing on the business side, on the personal side as well, where you have multiple accounts?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah, not as many. You can have as many as you want, and that's true for the business account too. A business account, we have people who have payroll accounts and just a bunch of different things. On the personal side, our clients, we have them set up 3 basic accounts. We have an account for bills. That's what I would say. The way to look at that is if you can't impulse spend it, it probably goes in bills. So that's your, your mortgage, your electric bill, your water bill, your phone bill. And then you have your spending account. That's the ones where you could probably impulse spend on it. So groceries, restaurants, spending money, clothing, all those things go into that spending account. And then that third account would be a savings account. So those are the core three that most people have. So again, if you're going to buy your kids some shoes, you can just open up your phone, look at your spending account to make sure you have cash in there before you actually spend the money. But a lot of people like to get more granular. And so what I always say is if it simplifies your life and your business, or it's not your business, if it simplifies your life and your money, then more accounts is fine. If it's going to stress you out or feels more complicated, then stick with the core three. But some other ones that people open are grocery account. They'll open an account specifically for restaurants. They'll open savings accounts for all the things that they're maybe saving for, like a Disney trip or a new car or whatever it might be. So whatever helps you stay organized and helps you give you the most clarity with your money, we're all for it when it comes to the bank accounts.
Super, super dope. This is rocking.
You got a great audience, man. They're so supportive.
They're so lively, yo. They are so lively. They're the best. They're the best. I wanted to touch on that because you mentioned the top three personal accounts, and you mentioned earlier in the show and touched on again the types of how many business accounts you should have. Which one of the three personal accounts should I be using for saving for retirement, or is that a business expense? Should my business be paying for my retirement or setting up money aside for my retirement? Is it a savings account personally that I can use for retirement? What do you teach to?
Yeah, so either one. If it's on the business side, usually I will recommend they open up a retirement account. So, I have this business. I'm also a musician. I only got one of my guitars hanging up right now, but I have my music business. And so in that one, I'm doing the same 5 core accounts with that business, but I have one that is labeled retirement. And so I have a percentage of all my sales that come from me playing music or gigs goes into that account. And then at the end of the month, it gets deposited into my Roth IRA or whatever retirement accounts we have. And so if you're a business owner, then yes, fantastic. Open up an account, nickname it retirement, whether it's a SEP IRA or whatever it is, and then use that to invest. Now, if you are on the personal side, maybe you're not a business owner, you're just managing your personal finances, absolutely open up another account and nickname it again, investment, whether a Roth IRA, whatever it is. And then same thing, put a little bit of money every month when the paycheck comes in, and then you can allocate straight to your investment accounts.
Absolutely. What do you recommend doing first? Should I be paying off debt and setting money aside at the same time for retirement? Or should I pay off the debt first and then transition to saving for retirement? Which one do you typically recommend first, and why?
Yeah. So I won't even say there is a typical. I'm going to give you the classic. I'm going to shoulder the direction. I'm just going to sit on the fence. But the reason is because that is such a big decision. It really boils down to one, how aggressive are you wanting to be? Like, how much are you just like, I want to get this debt out of the way as fast as I can. I don't care about anything else. And then how quickly can we make that happen? What we don't want to see happen is you stop investing in retirement and then we drag our feet on the debt. So I tell people, if you're going to go gung ho, not spend a dime on anything else and get this debt out of here within 12 to 18 months, then awesome. If you want to pause retirement, then that's fine. But if we're going to try and balance some life in, like we were talking about earlier, experiences with your kids, those things, I probably wouldn't pause retirement because I don't want to lose out on that compound interest that you're going to be making. So this is a conversation that we take individually with everybody of, we're big on, here's your options. Here's what it looks like if you do choice A. Here's what it looks like if you do choice B. Which one feels the best to you, and help them make that decision with confidence.
Absolutely. I want to put this disclaimer out before I ask this next question. This is not financial advice. For the safety and protection of my guests, this is not financial advice. Don't go home and quit your job and say, I'm going to start today. No.
Yes.
This is not financial advice. This is just a conversation about money management skills. Please reach out to your financial coach and professional, or even better, if you don't have one, reach out to Craig Dacy today. So absolutely important. So my next question for you is, what is it that you invest in? Can you share? What is your favorite investment? Everybody, I feel like everybody's on TikTok, right? Well, I don't know about TikTok anymore, but everybody's on social media and they're like, look at my fancy car. Look at my my big house. Look at my Great Dane that I bought for $10,000. And it's such a hype, right? But all of those things, they're using investments to pay for those things. What's your favorite personal investment that you really enjoy? Is it the Robert Kiyosaki real estate? Is it stocks, bonds, and mutual funds of old? Or are you doing something, I don't know, something new, something unheard of?
Yeah, I'm boring. I'm doing just mutual funds right now in my Roth. I am a big fan of real estate if you got the stomach for it, as far as maintaining it and just kind of going along for the ride, because it's not passive, for lack of a better word. Not that anything really is, but that one really is more hands-on. But
Yeah.
I love the fact that it's a growing asset and it's one that can give you immediate cash flow while also growing in value over time. So a big fan of real estate. Haven't jumped into that game myself yet, but right now I'm just sticking with the with the old classic mutual funds.
Absolutely. Keeping it safe. Play it safe. Close to the chest. I wanted to transition to now. What is something I can do to ensure that I'm saving enough for retirement? Is it set myself up on auto pay? Should I be setting up my salary on auto pay? What should be automated? What should be kind of conversed about, or quarterly or monthly?
Yeah, I would always recommend auto draft. So that's where having that extra account is super helpful, because you'll always make sure you got the funds in there. So at the end of the month, it automatically draws. The more passive we can make it, the better. Just like if you were working for someone else and you had a 401k, they take it out before your paycheck so that you don't feel it. It's painless. You almost have no idea that you're even investing in it. That's what we want to try and accomplish as best as we can with these investment accounts on our business side. And so if every time money comes in, you allocate 1% or whatever that percentage is to a retirement account, then at the end of the month, it gets just automatically withdrawn. That's perfect. Same with paychecks. You can automate those as well with your pay schedule, but really, whether automated or not, it's just getting into that strict rhythm of every 2 weeks, every month, every week. Beauty of being a business owner is we can decide what that rhythm is when we want to get paid. So you choose and just stick with it. Every Friday, I'm going to run payroll for myself, or every other Friday, whatever it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Have you ever had to tell a client, because I can imagine some clients, they get into they're living paycheck to paycheck, literally, right? They're paying bare bones and the W-2 isn't bringing in enough. And so have you ever advised someone, listen, business isn't right for you right now? Have you ever had to do that?
Yeah, that's a tough conversation. It's stopping and saying, okay, what is it about this that is this worth pushing through? And at some point there comes a tipping point of, I can no longer fully commit to this business. That doesn't mean you need to let it go. It might mean I need to go take a part-time job while continuing to try and get this thing off the ground. Sometimes you just run out of money. And when I quit teaching, I was doing this on the side for about a year, and every dollar I made from my coaching business, I stuck in a savings account to give myself runway so that I could give this the old college try for 6 months to a year. If I would have hit, and my wife and I, we talked about it when I quit my job. I was like, if this fund runs out or starts running low, then I'll go get a job at Home Depot or whatever it is to make up the money so that I can continue to try to get this thing going. But we've had that conversation a couple times. We've had the conversation of, so we've had clients with multiple locations. So they've had a business that has multiple buildings, and the tough conversation of maybe letting one go, even if it was the first building they ever had. But if it's draining funds, if it's not profitable, we gotta make those hard choices. And that's, again, where the emotion comes in, and we get to come in from the outside and say, logically, here's what the numbers are saying. Let's use those to make a decision, and regardless of how we feel about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Huge. This is absolutely paramount. And I need you to say, because people don't listen to me. Right? If people hear it from you, they'll believe me, I think. But I've been saying this for a long time. As a business owner, I think you need to hire out your weaknesses and just prioritize your strengths. And I run into business owners, and I know you've run into many business owners who they don't want to delegate. They don't want to pay anyone, right? It's like, oh, well, I'll take this 3-week course on and do my own taxes. right? You're doing business taxes, you have investments, you have real estate, you got mutual funds, and you got personal stuff. You, it doesn't make sense. Do you advise, or have you ever encouraged a client to say, listen, it's okay to hire somebody, right? It's okay to hire a professional who is good at this thing. Or do you, because I've run into that so many times.
Mm-hmm.
The business owner wants to keep all the cash for themselves. They don't want to hire staff. They don't want to hire an assistant. They don't want to hire a cleaner. I bumped into a gentleman yesterday. He owns 3 wine designs where you sip wine and you make art, right? And you're getting drunk the whole time. And he owns
Love
3
it.
locations. And he is running in between each of the 3 locations, and they're not close together. Do you ever advise a client, hey man, it's time to really hire somebody? Or how do you feel? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we 100%. I think we all, I'm not going to say all of us, but most business owners put that off too long, and myself included. Whether it's a fear of having to manage a team member, whether it's this, they're not going to do it the way I do it, or it's going to take me longer to teach them versus just me taking care of it. There's a lot of reasons or things that cause us to put it off, but we really push our clients when it's time to do that. Because you're right, there is a lot to be said about, I shouldn't be spending my time doing this admin work, doing this X, Y, and Z, where I should be focusing as a business owner on revenue generating activities. And I need to outsource these things that are not revenue generating. And that way I can focus more energy on generating revenue. As to your point about taxes, first of all, if you own a business, stop doing your own taxes. It's you need to get a CPA, and that's coming from someone who is not a CPA. I don't file taxes for our clients, so I have my own CPA. I think everyone needs to do that. If social media marketing is not your forte, it's not something you excel at, outsource that. If managing the day-to-day finances isn't your forte, outsource that. So finding ways to do that so you can focus on what you do well. I think the best place to start is a virtual assistant. If nothing else, if somebody's listening to this and they are still trying to wear all the hats, it's get a virtual assistant for 5 to 10 hours a week and give them, the things on your list that are the least exciting for you, the ones you hate doing, and also ones that you could easily pass off to someone else.
So you use a virtual assistant for your business?
So that was my first hire, was a virtual assistant. And I had 2 of them for a while, one for video editing, because we do a lot of YouTube content, even though I kind of like video editing, but it was just not, I got to a point where I was like, I need to start letting some stuff go. And that was one of the first ones to go. And then I had a VA who managed my inbox. They posted all of our blogs. They took stats for our marketing. So instead of me having to go through and look at how is our lead magnet performing and our email newsletter percentage, open rate, click rate, he would go in and pull all of that, put it into a spreadsheet so that I could easily just pull it up and look. So those little things that I would maybe dedicate a couple hours a week, a few hours a week to, I was able to pass off to them. And then I still have the information. I still have it happening in the background. But yeah, I think a VA is the lowest hanging fruit, especially if you choose to outsource outside of the US. It's super affordable, and most business owners can afford to do it.
Absolutely. I want to stick right here for a second on the grand poobah, because it's for those that don't know what a virtual assistant is. Can you share what is a virtual assistant? Why is it so affordable? What's the difference between me hiring a virtual assistant versus a regular assistant? Can you explain that nuance for those who don't really understand why it's more financially gainful to hire a virtual assistant?
You got it. Yeah. So a regular assistant, typically you're going to only hire those if you have maybe a physical location that you need someone sitting at the front desk. If it's your business requires somebody there. So if you're shipping out product or shipping out things to somebody, that you need them there so they can box it up and ship it out. 9 times out of 10 in this market, in this culture, you can outsource a virtual assistant for a lot of the online stuff, managing any of your softwares, managing outreach, email. Again, email inbox, my virtual assistant would go through emails and flag things that needed for me to respond, some things that could be deleted. They would delete the junk, and they would organize the inbox so that when I logged in, it's like, okay, here's the things that need my attention. Here's the things that don't. So ultimately a virtual assistant can be from anywhere. And the reason they're more affordable is because they get to work from home. And there are so many opportunities to get assistants who are out in Venezuela or the Philippines or in Africa who are just looking for opportunities. And they're going to be at a lower rate because their cost of living is lower. So it's a good opportunity for you. And it's also a good opportunity to serve maybe a lower income country, some people in there to get jobs and be able to change their lives and turn those things around.
Absolutely. So, do you pay benefits like health insurance, medical insurance, dental insurance for your virtual assistant?
I have not personally. I've gone through a service to get connected with them. So they're just contractors, 1099. But I'm sure if they start growing and you decide to take them on full time, then absolutely you could do the whole shebang with them and get them all signed up with all the benefits.
That is a shebang. That is a huge shebang. So get on board with a virtual assistant today. Connect with Greg Dacy. Connect. Absolutely. So virtual assistance is the code word. I love saving money, right? And if I could save more money in my business and keep it, still get the services that I need at a lower rate, I'm all for it. Still get but you had to. What I've heard with virtual assistants and why I think most people are afraid of them is because you have to have processes, and a lot of people just kind of. If I'm a self-employed individual and I'm a landscaper, and I could get a virtual assistant to answer the phone, so I'm not sitting there trying to answer the phone while I'm weed whacking. I could get a virtual assistant to handle the invoicing and collections of clients that owe me money for invoices. But I think one of the things, did you have to create a step-by-step guide to hand off to that virtual assistant? I think that's what scares business owners away, is I need to take myself and the expertise and step away and put it on paper. Yes. And now give somebody this step-by-step guide. Did you have to do that? Or was your virtual assistant ready to go and you just said, hey, here's my inbox, here's my password, do it?
No, I definitely had to a lot of extent, create those systems. And I'm the visionary type person. So systems and processes, I love them because I need them to lean on, but creating them is not something I gravitate to. I mean, I ran my business for a long time purely just what's in my head, and it's the stuff I'm using is all over the place. So the advice that was given to me that I tell everybody is, if you're thinking about bringing an assistant on, as you're doing tasks, just click the record screen on your computer and get a microphone on and talk through you doing the task, and then save that video to a Google Drive. So as you're filtering through your inbox, talk through it. Say, okay, here's an email that somebody wants a response from. So it goes here. Here's how to do this. If you're, again, for posting blogs, as I'm posting a blog, I'm got the recording on and I'm just talking through myself doing the task. And then that way, when you hire them, you have video training already available. So when you assign them a task, it's here's the video of me doing it, take it, run with it. And then they can train themselves in a sense.
Absolutely. So dude, I like that. So you record yourself performing the task, and then you just compile a folder of, and you give them funky titles, and you say, this is how to respond to this type of email, or this is how to respond when this email comes in, or invoice. These are the step-by-step guide. You record, and you just send them an inbox full of videos and say, watch this, read this. And the assistant will do it and catch on.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, they will. And if they have questions, obviously, they can shoot you a message, but it's step by step. And so they can just watch the video and follow along. And, 99% of the time it was smooth sailing. They were able to follow it. And the other side benefit was I didn't know what I was going to hand off to a virtual assistant when I was thinking about hiring one. I was like, I know I need help, but it's hard to, off the top of your head, think of here's all the things I'm going to give them. But if just, you're always filtering things through that lens of, maybe I should record this. Oh, this will be a great thing for them to be doing for me. So I don't have to be uploading leads into this CRM. I could show them how to do that. So it's a good filtering system as you're going through it. And then eventually you'll have a bunch of videos and you're like, okay, great. I'm ready to hand all those things off to somebody.
Absolutely. The grand poobah of money and business here. This is huge.
Yeah. And one more piece on that too. I just thought of if they struggle with following video tutorials, then that tells you maybe they're not the best virtual assistant. You want somebody who's going to be able to have critical thinking, think on their feet, problem solve. If they're coming, and I've had this before with virtual assistants where they're coming to you about every little thing. And you're like, have you Googled this yet? Or have you tried to figure it out on your own? And it just ends up taking up more of your time. So if they can't follow the video and run with it, then that probably means, okay, you're not the best fit for what we're looking for, and just find somebody else who will. They're competent people, they're smart people, so it's usually going to work out.
Absolutely. You are speaking to the choir right now, because my girl and I just experienced that. We had to let someone go because I don't want to say they weren't competent, but they were just struggling. They were really struggling with like basic tasks. And the business that my girlfriend and I run and operate is a HIPAA compliant one. And so there's big eyeballs on what we're doing in the processes and system. And we had sent the offer letter, the person accepted, and just in the onboarding process, the person like sent an email, right? We sent a document for them to DocuSign, and they sent an email response back with an attachment that had nothing to do with the offer letter. And it looked like a scanned receipt with someone else's information. And so right then and there, you are sending us, a potential employer, someone else's information, their name, contact number, and their address. And I respond to you immediately and say, "What is this?" And she's like, "Oh, that wasn't meant for you." We came together and we realized we can't hire this person. Right in the onboarding, you created a HIPAA violation, right? And so we can't take the risk of you emailing a client sensitive information or information that's not pertinent to them. This client needs to send you a document to sign, and you send it to the wrong person, and there's PII all over that document. Can't risk it. And so that's so true. Now, you described profit first, but you also mentioned Dave Ramsey. How do you feel about debt personally, and how do you feel about debt in business? Because that was a huge conflict for me when I did the Dave Ramsey, baby steps. And when I got to the step of no debt but your house, I found that to be a struggle, because I don't know, some debt I feel is good debt. And even having access to lines of credit, I couldn't necessarily kick that habit. Now, I still operate with a mindset of, if I don't have the cash for it, I tend not to pay for it unless it's a dire need for the business. There's very few things I will put on a credit card personally, but there are some necessities that I need to pay for. I need to keep operating for the business. What are your thoughts with that conflict? Because that's a big one for me. And you do both. You touch on both, which is, to me, that's tricky.
It's very tricky. Yeah. And, again, as somebody who also followed the Dave Ramsey plan for a while, I was like, yeah, no debt in the business either. You shouldn't be doing either. But I agree with you. I think there are times where debt is beneficial. And I think it just boils down to that being proactive. I've signed up for coaching programs that I knew were going to have a huge ROI that I charged to a credit card and was able to pay off during that coaching time. I think of businesses where they have a lot of upfront startup cost, and maybe you go start a business that needs machines. We have physical therapist clients who have to get equipment in order to launch their business. And if we don't have that equipment, we can't really launch the business. And so there's times where, strategically coming in with that debt, it might be beneficial. I just think the time where it's dangerous, and I've been a victim to it myself, which is where you're swiping that credit card and then all of a sudden you look down and it's the end of the month and you have less in your account than what's on the card, and it can snowball on you from there. And so that's the reactive side. We're just charging for things and not paying attention. But if we have strategic game plans, and it's to me, I'm going to take 10,000 and invest in this maybe Facebook advertising opportunity because I think it's going to generate leads and generate some business. It's a calculated risk, and that's sometimes okay.
Absolutely. That is huge. That is huge. And that again, that speaks to the conflict that you see. We all deal with this, y'all. We all deal with these problems of like balancing the checkbook and making sure everything is squared away. I remember in business, I was going on a business trip and I was renting a car. And surprisingly, while doing the Dave Ramsey plan, most dealerships did not accept debit cards.
Nope.
And so I found one, it was Enterprise, or a local enterprise to me, and they accepted debit card to put on file and to make that initial payment. You got to pay a huge deposit, but I was fine with it because that deposit goes against the total balance when you return the vehicle, which makes sense. I don't believe in paying deposits on top of paying you the $600 for this car. But that was hard. And I remember just being so conflicted. I called my dad. I was like, Dad, I need to go out of town for this business trip, this conference, and I got to rent a car, but nobody will lend me a car without a credit card. And I have a credit card, but Dave Ramsey said no. Craig Dacy said no.
Right.
So what do I do? And he's like, put it on the card. Like, he just very matter of factly put it on the card. You know you're gonna make a big ROI from going to this conference, and when you get back, you have the money to pay it off. Put it on the card, pay it off, get it back to zero, and you're set. Huge.
And I think you hit on something in there too, which is Dave Ramsey said do this, or Craig Dacy said do this. And, I think that's a lot of times a fundamental problem. And I was that way too. Dave Ramsey said, I can't do this, so I can't do this. But we have to discover what's my plan? What do I believe? What do I say is okay? What are my values, my principles in our household? If our principle is we don't borrow, then you're right. We got to find another solution. If our principle is we don't get into debt, but we use credit cards because we like to get travel points and we like to get all these things and we pay it off at the end of the week, every single week, and we've never carried a balance over, there's nothing wrong with that. Again, it boils down to you. What are you trying to accomplish? What do you believe? And it doesn't matter what Dave Ramsey or what Craig Dacy or Marcus says. It's what do you believe about your money? What's important to you? How do you want to manage it?
Absolutely. Mic drop. If I had another mic, I'd ask him to drop it.
Can't drop this one.
We need that mic for now. I want to talk about this big handsome guy on this website here. So what should someone have before booking a consultation with you? And a really well done website. I want to point this out here. And there's the hit for the book. Take the quiz. Take your free quiz. But what should someone have before booking an appointment with you? What should they have on it ready?
They should have a desire for change with their money. That's the key. And so if they're coming to us, we don't require you having a bunch of numbers pulled. Our first, we call it a Q&A call. It's 20 to 30 minutes, and it is a conversation. It's just a conversation about your money, how you're feeling. What are you trying to accomplish? What are you frustrated about? What do you want life to look like for you in your business, in your personal finances? And then we're going to ask you a bunch of questions and create a space where you can ask us questions. And from there, we tell you exactly how our program, if it can, how it can help you and what that looks like, and get you signed up and start changing your life.
Super, super dope. And did you mention what's the best and quickest way? I need to change my life today. I need to get in touch with you today. What is the best and fastest way to contact you?
You got it. Just dacycoaching.com. When you go there, there'll be two options: business finances, personal finances, whatever you need the most help with. Click that. Whoever you get connected with, if you're like, I need both, then they'll be able to help you with both. But find it, navigate there, and our calendars are on pretty much every page of the website, so you can hop in there, plug yourself in, and get on a free call with us.
Absolutely. This has been an epic conversation. I love this.
Yeah.
Love this. You can tell this is the only time I get to pick an expert's brain and share with my audience and add tremendous value to you guys. Mr. Dacy, you've shared some incredible nuggets, some incredible insight today on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. But for that young man, that young entrepreneur, that young girl out in the audience watching this, you've shared so many nuggets, but if you had one more nugget in the hat, in your bag of tricks to share, who their back is against the wall, they're living paycheck to paycheck, and they just can't see the light on paying themselves a higher salary in their business, what would you say to them right now?
And something is better than nothing. And so I say, get in the habit of paying yourself something on a regular basis, even if it's $100 a week on a rhythm. Get into the habit of prioritizing yourself, prioritizing your profitability, and you can always ramp it up from there. But keep pushing forward. No such thing as being bad with money. It's just, let's get it going.
Told you. Huge thing. This has been epic. All right, y'all. We are out of time. we gotta let this incredible man go. We are running out, but he has many more interviews, many more conversations to have, and help people get to a better quality of life. So, like we end every show, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and always, always take care of business. This is Marcus, your favorite gentleman, and the incredible Craig Dacy, signing off. Love you guys.